Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we're going to start working with our first service. So back in the application, we completed the homepage. And then we also completed the advisor page where we're going to list all the different services. Now we could go in here, and if we click on this, this is where we will go nowhere now, but this is where we want to navigate the user to our new service, so the prediction service. So let's start working on creating that page and setting everything up that we're going to need. So back in here, I'm going to close these files here, and I'm going to create a new folder for the new row. So prediction, new file, page.csx. In here, we're going to do export the full function prediction. And let's just return a main tag here. And let's do, for now, let's do class name. Let's do height-full. And let's set a padding of 20. And let's return a h1 that is going to say stocks prediction. And to the h1, let's do text-4xl font-bold. Let's do text center in here. Oops. I didn't notice I was not typing inside of a class name. So let's do class name and then wrap all this in quotes. There we go. Cool. So now let's go ahead and click on the stock prediction. It's going to take it to this page. The only thing we see is the H1, and that's okay for now. We're going to keep filling this page up in a second. So in here, we want to display a form. So let's go in here. Let's say form. And inside of the form, let's do a input. Input is going to be of just type text. And let's do a placeholder that is going to say enter stock symbol. And let's say an example here, like Apple. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and let's do a class name on this input. And let's do text-black for the inside, padding-1 rounded, and let's do margin bottom-2 with -50%. All right, to the form, let's do class name. Let's do flex. Let's also do flex-call items center, padding of 5, and margin bottom-10. All right, so let's keep it there. Let's have right under the input here, let's format this. Right under the input, let's have a small tag here, and we're going to say enter 1 stock symbol at a time. And then here, let's do again the example of Apple. And then right next to this, right under this here, let's do a italic. Let's say the max you can add is 5. And this is the API that we're going to use, we can request 5 stock symbols at a time for the free tier. So I want to make sure we have that in there. So to the small tag here, let's do a class name. Let's do text-sm, font-medium, and a margin bottom of 5. To the italic here, let's do class name, text-green-300, and we need a space here. So let's do curly brackets, space here. Whoops, what happened? And let's see. Italic. There we go. Just keep it there. That's fine. Just a little space there. We're going to have to add some margin. You can have margin right if you want to, but that's okay. That would do it. Cool. So we have the small tag and everything in there. So let's see what we need now. So we're going to, let's work a little bit with this state, or let's finish up the UI because I want to have some buttons at the bottom here. So let's go and let's create, let me see, let's create a, why don't we create a simple button? Yeah, let's do, because I want to have buttons down here. So we can add the stock that we want to a list. I want to display it up top here, and the button that the user can press to get the prediction. So let's go and create a new file inside of the UI folder, button.tsx, and let's create a simple button here. Let's do export default function button, and let's see, our button is going to, of course, return a button element, and inside here we want to render the children for the text. We need to take in children in here, and let's do some space here at the top. So then we're going to need to also, let's take in a class name prop, default to empty quotes, and then we can spread any other props in here. So in here, let's create a simple interface here. So interface, let's call it button props. And then we need to extend the React dot button HTML attributes. And then we need to pass the HTML button element for the type of the attributes we want. And then here we can say that we're just extending this, so we just want to add the class name prop that we're taking, and that is going to be optional, and it's going to be a type string. And then we're going to set children. Our children prop is going to be of type React node. And then we need to pass the interface here for the annotation. And then class name is assigned a value but never read. Props is declared but the value is never read. That's fine, we can keep it in there. So in here on the button, let's do class name here. And let's do curly brackets. And here we're going to use backticks to do $ curly brackets. We're going to pass class name, the class name prop, so this one, whatever we pass to the button. And then we're going to do in here, let's set a padding of 1, a width of 48, and let's do rounded. Cool. So these are going to be default classes, and then whatever else we need, we'll pass it in here, so it can add it to the class name there. And then let's just do in here, let's do curly brackets, props for any other props in here. Format it, and now we have our button component that we can now bring in back into our page. So now we could render inside of the form, after these small tags, we can render a button that is going to say add stock. Add stock, that's fine. I think add stock is fine. Or a stock symbol, that's fine. Whatever we want to put in there. And let's see here, hover over this, and it says button is not defined because we need to import this. Import button from the UI. So for this button, let's have a class name prop, which we define in here. Class name, so we're passing a value here. Children is the text that we're passing here. So to the class name here, let's pass in bg-blue-600 blue. Let's also do, let's save it. There we go. Let's also do margin wide -2. And some of these classes you can also have them as default classes, but I just did a quick few ones in there to pass the other ones in here. So BG blue margin wide to font medium. Then we're gonna do on disable, we want to do bg-transparent. And if you don't like any of these values or classes, you can customize it as you want. Then let's render another button here that is going to say get prediction. And to the button, we're going to pass class name again. And any class name that you see yourself repeating in here, you can put it as defaults if you want. So bg-green for this one, -500. I can do margin wide here too, just to keep everything consistent. Font-medium and disable, we're gonna do bg-transparent. Cool. So save that. We have the form. We're gonna put these symbols in here. Let's say Apple, and then we're gonna be able to click here. And I want to render a list here of the symbols that we're adding. So let's bring in the use state hook in here, because let's create a, here, we need to hold the symbol on a state variable. So const symbol and set symbol equals to use state, and that can be a empty quotes because this is going to be for the value of this input. Symbol, set symbol. Now also want symbols, so const, I can just copy this down, const symbols and set symbols plural, and that is going to be an array of strings. So we're going to say curly bracket, angle brackets, string array. And what is going on? File, you're missing component that needs use state. It only works on, oh, we need to mark this component as a client component all the way up here. So the directive use client because now we're using state, and these hooks only works on client components. Cool. So we have the two variables there. Let's create one for, we're gonna need one for to hold any errors. So let's just create that now. Error and set error equals to use state. And this is going to be empty quotes as well. We can have our loading as well. So loading and set loading equals use state and false here. Okay, so let's skip it there, and now let's pass the values that we need into the JSX elements. So starting with symbol, symbol is going to be bind to this input here. So we can go in here and say value is symbol, and let's say on change, let's listen for on change event. And on change, before I do the on change, if I type here and nothing happens because now I'm not updating the value here of the variable, so I need to bring this in, pass in an anonymous function here. We can take in the event and call set symbol and pass e.target.value. Whoops. What am I doing? Control Z and save. Now we can type again. That's good. So symbols. So for symbols, I want to that when the user clicks on, let's say, on this button, we want to call a function. So we're going to say here, let's go and let's say on click, we want to call a function called handle add stock symbol, and we're going to create that function. So I'm going to copy the name, go up here and say const handle add stock symbol. So in here, in the new function that we created, we could go and say, so what we want to do is that we want to on click, we want to update the state with the symbol, or they update the symbol state, which the symbol that the user typed. That's what I want to do here. So let's say we want to call set symbols, and we're going to, let's take in the previous state here, and then pass in a new array, spread the previous state with the previous value, and then pass in the symbol dot to uppercase, because the symbols are defining uppercase. So when we send the request to our API, I want them to be all uppercase, so they can look like this, like Apple, which is capital A, P and L. So also after that, after we add the new symbol, we can go and say set symbol back to empty quotes, so the user can add another one. And let's say, in order to avoid the user adding too many symbols, let's go ahead and do we can do, so remember, for the free tier of the API, we can only send 5 at a time. So we're gonna say if symbols dot length is greater than or equals to 5, just to be safe, let's return from here. All right, let's keep that there. So we got the handle, click on the symbol. When we call that function, we're going to add the new symbol and reset the symbol. Let's look at the state inside of the DevTools in here. So if we go to all the way down, prediction here, we have our state here. So say we type Apple, so AAPL, and you can type it lowercase. When we add it, it should be all uppercase. And right now I'm submitting the form, so I want to, let's take in the event, and let's say this is a form event, and make sure it gets imported at the top. And then we're gonna call e.preventDefault in here. And let's try that again. Scroll down, click on prediction, and let's type AAPL, add it, and it gets added in uppercase to the array of symbols that we want to send. So now you can add more. GME for GME for GameStop, I think. Gotta double check. I think it is IBM. Let's do Tesla, I think. So Tesla, TSL, add it there. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do T for AT&T, add it in there. And let's do NVIDIA, I think it's NVDA, add it in there. And right now it doesn't do anything because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in there already. We can also later like let the user know we cannot add any more. But right now, just wanted to test that this will be okay. So cool. So now we have that in there. And let's go ahead and now we need to, you see that we can see it in here. We can see it in the array. I want to display that array like at the top here of the input. So what we're going to do in here before the form here, we're going to go to the H1, add some space here. And let's just loop over that. Let's do a div. Set inside of the div, curly brackets, symbols. Let's do symbols dot map. And let's do let's grab each symbol. I'm just gonna do S for symbol, and I want to render, let's do curly brackets there, hit enter. Let's do a div with the closing div, come on. Inside of the div, we want to render the symbol, and then to the symbol, let's do the key prop because we are rendering a list. Let's pass the symbol here. And then I think that's everything we need. If we save it this time, they are right here. Apple, GME, IBM, Tesla, and AT&T. To this div, let's add a class name. Let's do height-5. And let's do let's do another div, let's say after the map. Let's do another nested div here. Let's put this closing one right over. Let's see how I want to set it up. Okay, so let's go with this. That's fine. Put this like this. Refactor this again real quick. So to this div here, let's do class name. Let's do flex. And let's do, where did they go? Let's do delete this height for a second. Oh, I think they got wiped out. That's why we don't see anything. API. Okay, let's put this back. For the height there. Flex, let's do just a 5 center. And let's do a little bit of padding, tab of 2. Now to the actual div that is rendering the key, we can do class name. And we can do a little bit of margin right. So they're gonna be in a row. And then let's do font dash semi bold here. So now when we add another one, GME, add it in here. Cool, they spread. Then we could do, let's just do IBM. There you go. Okay, that's better. So cool. Let's close this up for now. Now, I think we could do, we can keep it like that. That's fine. We'll make this take more space in a second. So right now we're mapping over the array of symbols so we can render the symbols. So let's just go into, let's navigate back here, go to advisor, go back in here. And right now we don't see anything, but if I start adding, that's fine. Cool. All right. So now if this is bothering you, because it's kind of like bothering me a little bit, so you can do in here, you can do screen for now. So kind of like push that down to, so that entire div could take the screen size. That green is kind of bothering my eyes. So let's see. I think we're good with the form right now. I think we're ready. We already have the array of symbols we want to send to our API when we hit get prediction. So let's see if we need to. Now we can create a handle submit because this get prediction, I want this get prediction to fire off the form. So let's create a handle submit. taking the event, form event, e.prevent default, and here we want to, let's attach this handle submit to the form. So here on submit, we want to call the handle submit. Cool. Before we start working with the handle submit, let's just go in here. Let's do a little bit of validation in the input here. Let's do a require. And I want to set this to require if the symbols array dot length is less than 1. So if that array is empty, pretty much, we want to make this true. So it needs to be filled in. We need to add something here, so that way we can add at least one symbol, one of the stocks. Let's also say, I was checking, let's go into right under the small tag here. And here, let's do another div here really quick. And here, let's display it. Let's say if symbols, we need curly brackets, symbols dot length is greater than or equals to 5. Then we want to render another small tag here. Okay. Right here, and we want to say max symbols reach, or any message you want to display here. So if they add is the length is equals to 5, we want to show this in here, that message, so that way the user doesn't it knows they cannot submit anymore. So this one here, let's do class name. Let's do text dash sm. Let's do font dash medium. Let's do margin bottom of 5. And let's do text dash green. And let's just get a little bit of darker green here. Or you can make it red so the user can see it. Let's make it red. It's not an error. It's just, they know. So yeah, let's keep it. Let's just keep it green. That's fine. Cool. So that is only going to show if they reach 5 elements inside of the array. Now let's see. We have this button. Let's see how it looks. Disable. We want to make it disable. I was thinking making it disable if symbol dot length is less than 1. So it's disabled. We don't see anything there. But if I start typing, it goes into active mode. Cool. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but it's up to you. This is disabled because that way they're not able to click on this unless they type something here. But this is required already, so that's okay. Maybe this is a little bit of an overkill, but I'll leave it there for now. If you don't like it, you can just skip that part. And what else we want to say? So also after the buttons in here, before I forget, actually let's do fragments here. And let's do fragments here to render curly brackets the error variable that we created at the top. So if error is true, we want to also render here let's just do a div and say error, whatever error we display later on. If we get an error when we submit, inside of our handle submit, if we get an error back, we're going to set the error to the state variable, and we're going to render that here. So to that div, let's just add a class name, which is going to be text dash, let's use red dash 600 and text dash center. And that's it. Pretty much this form is completed. I'm handling everything here, but you can, if you want to create a small component for this, up to you. You can refactor this however you like. But I'm going to put everything inside of the form. We're going to handle everything there. And now we should be able to start working on the get prediction. And get prediction is going to call a function, which is going to, we're going to name it get prediction, but we're going to do a few things in here. And then let's see, in here, the first thing we're probably going to need to do is to create the function get prediction and pass in our array of symbols. So if we do a console log real quick of symbols, the symbols is, we're going to call get prediction. We're going to pass the symbols, and that way we go and work on the back end. So clear this up. Let's do API, and even if I add one and hit, what is this? Warning, encounter two children with the same name. Oh, because I got two apples in here. Let's refresh it really quick. And then API. And then what is this now? Extra attribute, that's fine. And hit get prediction. And now we console log in the array here. Cool. So let's tap here, and in the next video, we're going to start working on the get prediction function, and we're going to start fetching the data from an API to send it to the OpenAI API so we can get our predictions ready. See you in the next video.